Okay, so we talked last time about all the do's and don'ts physically during dating.
Sure.
And then the process that you would like to have during dating, which basically was, well, I won't cover it again.
No.
But yeah. The process of what you think Christian dating should be.
Okay.
Or what general Christian consensus.
Yes, a general, correct.
Yes. And so why is that so important to you? Like, why is it so important to you that your children follow this process when they're dating?
Right.
And not go beyond the things and follow the Starbucks and the married.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Sure. Okay. And so number one, I am not.
You should write a book. From Starbucks to married.
Maybe I will.
Do it.
Now I got some time on my hands. I'm going to do it. Before my kids get all crazy serious in dating and be like, here's a copy. Hand all of them a copy.
Yeah.
I'll sell 3 just right off the bat. No, but I think for me, like, okay, number one, I realize that it's never going to go like perfect, right? Like, I realize that more than likely for my kids, it's not going to be like this perfect model. Like, I understand that.
So you think what you said last time is the perfect model?
I'm not going to say it's the perfect model. I'm just saying I know they're not going to do everything perfectly. Okay. That's all I'm saying. All right. And so, no, I think the when we were talking, you keep bringing up Starbucks, but like the idea of doing dates in public, the idea of not being alone privately and those kind of, in private situations, that kind of stuff. Like, for me, it's not just protecting you physically. There is the emotional part too. And then I think it can be all tied up. So one of the reasons I think for me, right, that like we don't just date to date, or we don't just, you want to date with intent, I guess. And I'm not saying necessarily intent to marriage, but intent to find out about this person, right? Mm-hmm. And so I'm gonna, and that's why I say it's holistic in its nature of, I want to get to know this person, I want to know their personality, I want to know what they think spiritually, all those kind of things, right? And so I know my kids are, again, not going to follow it by the letter, but my hope is that it's protecting and guarding their own hearts. Okay. And the hearts of the other, right? So, because like I would hope that in everything we do, whether it's dating or work or whatever, that we're doing what we do to honor the Lord, to love God, to love others. And so I would hope that, my kids date and, they break up with someone or they get broken up with.
You hope they get broken up with?
Well, no. Okay. Hold on. Let me finish the thought. No. All right, let me finish the thought. If they're dating, and they get broken up with, or they break up with someone, that my hope is from that they will go, so let's say they break up with someone, but the other person would still be able to say, but I still was respected and cared for and honored during the process, right? And if they're broken up with, and let's say they may be heartbroken about it and upset about it and those kind of things. That may still be there, but they could at least go, but that person and the situation we had ourselves in was honoring and respectful and caring. And, I didn't feel used. I didn't feel misled. I didn't feel manipulated, all that kind of stuff. And and
you think what do you think would be manipulative or misleading?
Well, I think that
or using or whatever.
Yeah. Well, I do think that whether intentionally or non-intentionally, we all have the capacity to mislead people in those kind of dating relationships by making either promises that we don't keep, by making statements like "I love you," prematurely, by cheating on the other person, right? Like all of those things can happen. Okay. And so my hope is that, again, within a proper, or within a healthy, I say proper is not probably the best word, and the healthiest environment that we can create for dating, that will be the case, that they would walk away going, okay, that was a healthy, interaction with that person. That was a healthy relationship, not just interaction, but a healthy relationship with that person. Whether it, because I think the stat still is that it takes about 3 months for individuals really to get to know one another, because it takes about that long for individuals to kind of drop the facade, of who they think the person wants them to be.
Oh, I think that takes longer nowadays.
You think it takes even longer?
Yeah,
and it may.
I think it's 6 months.
Really?
Yeah. I think you got to do 6 months.
Okay. And you're probably right.
Yeah.
And so if that's the case,
especially if all you're doing is having sex.
Okay. Well, yeah. I mean, and that's what I'm saying too. Like, if that's not part of the equation,
right.
So
and there's more
interacting,
non-sex time.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's more talking and conversing about, your what you like, what you don't like, your hopes, your dreams, your fears, your whatever. Right. And so, but whether it's 3 months, whether it's 6 months, it takes time for the facade to drop and for you really get to see who that person really is, and so I think that's the thing. It's like, all right, now I get to know that person, and hopefully that person is, like, when I get to know them, that I discover, oh, I like this person, or maybe you realize I don't like this person. This relationship ain't going to work. Like, move on, but hopefully it was in a healthy environment. And so because there's any dating relationship, there's going to be, a sense of, whether you call it heartbreak or remorse or, whatever, like grief, like, oh no, that didn't work out. That's hard. Yeah. But again, it was done in a healthy way. We honor one another. I felt honored. I felt respected, and we can move on. Hopefully more intact and healthier than in just a kind of flippant relationship where maybe that honor, that love, that consideration wasn't given.
The original question, though.
Okay.
Why do you care so much to make sure that your children do this?
Okay. Well,
do this right.
And do it right. Because I care.
Like, why do you care?
Because I care for my kids.
Okay.
Like, if we're making it personal about me and my kids, because I care for my kids.
I guess I'm trying to make it personal because I want to know what the actual thought process in your head is.
Sure. Yeah. Because I want to care. Because I want to care for my kids. Like, because I do care for them. I do love them, and so you do want. And I don't want them. And I know in some circles it comes off like sheltered, right? Like, I don't want to shelter my kids or be overprotective of my kids,
right?
Because as they get older, right?
That's kind of where I'm getting to.
Yeah.
Like, because
as they get older, they're going to have to make their own decisions and choices, right? Mm-hmm. Like, they're out of the house.
Yeah.
They're at college or whatever. Like, they're going to have to make their own decisions and choices of how they're going to approach dating. Mm-hmm. That's on them. And so it's not like I'm going to like be calling and like, all right, now how did you, like they're going to have to make their own calls and their own decisions.
How many buttons?
No. So, but I think that's the thing. It's like, I realize they're going to have to make their own decisions. So what I want to, because it's the same thing, whether it's dating or finances or their relationship with Jesus or their work ethic or whatever, right? Like, there's things that I'm hoping to principally still within them now as kids. Even I say kids, I mean, I almost have like my youngest is 12. So, I've pretty much got 3 teenagers, right? And so I understand that
you're screwed.
But you just hope that you give them.
So what
counsel.
are you going to do? Are you going to like? You're just going to be running across everywhere, just yanking them vaudeville style with a cane?
No. I know. That's again. They have to make their own calls and decisions. Okay. But I do, like, all I'm trying to do is just say, hey, here's my counsel. Mm-hmm. Here's my wisdom. Okay. And the wisdom probably especially from my wife and I, it's not just mine, it's ours, right? My wife and I together. And so, and we had two very different, dating experiences, right? So
didn't you date each other?
Well, okay. Yes. Okay. Yeah, of course we dated each other, but I mean prior to that. Okay.
Okay.
And so like for my wife, she had one boyfriend before me, and so there wasn't she didn't do a lot of dating, like, pretty much no dating in high school.
And you guys were both
were out of
virgins when you got married.
Yeah, we were both virgins when we got married.
That's crazy. Nobody does that anymore.
Yeah. Well, we did.
You're the only one.
And we're not actually. And that's another great thing about doing the premarital counseling is you realize, hey, there are people who make it. And so it's good. But they made it to premarital counseling. They left it like, good, we told Joseph. Yeah. No. So anyways.
They're in the car in the church parking lot.
No, stop. All right. So it's like, so Melanie, had her, experiences, and then like for me, especially within college, dating a lot more, so we both kind of have our own, perspectives of how dating, went and how it was and all that kind of stuff. And so for me, I would say some of the relationships were honoring and respectful, like in the dating relationships I had. Mm-hmm. Were honoring and respectful of one another, where I was honoring and respectful of the other person. And there were some where it wasn't that way. And I have regrets over how, I wasn't as honoring and wasn't as respectful of that individual as I should have been.
And you would consider being honoring and respectful being a generally nice person to them and also not doing anything physical to them.
Correct. With them. Yeah, correct. Like, yes. Like, so like where the physical.
So you think every time people not married have sex or do anything sexual, it is disrespectful to the other person?
And I'm not, okay, so here's the thing. Like, in the moment, it's probably not considered disrespectful, okay? Or dishonoring in the sense of, because oftentimes both parties want it, right? Like, I mean, it's a consensual, like, adult relationship, like.
Yeah.
And so, but what I'm, like, looking at it is, like, big picture perspective, okay?
Okay.
Like, yes, in the moment, no, it probably wasn't disrespectful or dishonoring in the way that in the sense that both individuals agreed, were said yes to it, But what I'm saying is, like,
signed the contract.
If that's what you choose to do,
I'm going to do this to you. Please initial here.
And only this.
Yeah.
And so,
and only this.
Sorry. And so,
just this one thing.
Right.
And that's all.
And so, but I don't even know what we're talking about anymore. Yeah. All right. And so I think that
I'll have to respectfully decline.
That's fair. And so, but my point just being is, no, so in the moment it's probably.
I'd like to add an appendage. Is that the right word?
Well, you did not misspeak. Okay, so I realized that in the moment, again, the other person probably doesn't feel disrespected or dishonored in the moment. Okay. So I realized that. Like, both parties probably don't. I'm just like looking at big picture, big view of it, right? Like, in other words, I'm looking at it going,
so you think
if I'm not going to end up in a marriage relationship with that person in particular, right? Like, if I'm not going to end up in a marriage relationship with that individual. Now the question really is more of should we have done that? Especially in two different. Let me approach it from two different perspectives. One, the spiritual, okay? Mm-hmm. Obviously, so for me, that wasn't pleasing in the eyes of the Lord, so I shouldn't have done that. So I did not, so there's that part. But the other part is the fact that when sex is happening or there's intercourse happening, there is emotional connections that are occurring, right? That deepen more beyond just the physical aspect. And so I do think that you can look back at it and say, man, now I've made so it's, especially when there's a breakup, the breakup is now harder, on one or two, one of the parties. And because the intimacy has grown too quickly, it's almost like we're moving intimacy further along than we should, quicker than we should.
Well, I don't think a lot of people, after they break up with someone that they had sex with,
right,
look back and are happy about it.
Okay. Yeah.
I mean,
right.
At least they don't say it.
Right.
They're not like, yeah, the relationship was bad. I mean, they say it sometimes, but when like they're a supermodel or something, you know what I mean?
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, but people aren't usually happy about it.
Yeah, and that's kind of what I'm getting to.
Yeah.
Right. So that's why I'm saying it's not like in the moment you feel that disrespect or that dishonor, but just in the big picture looking at it. Right. Okay. Does that? I hope that makes sense.
Yeah.
And so that's why I feel like so
that's why you care.
Yeah, because I want people healthy and whole, and I think healthy is probably a word I didn't use last time that I probably should have used, because we're looking for healthy dating relationships, not perfect, right? Healthy. We're looking, and again, and that's, I mean, I would hope we would want healthy relationships in all aspects of life, but especially in a relationship like that's dating, that's definitely much more exclusive and intimate. You want it to be as healthy as it possibly can be. And again, when I say guarding the heart, as I said earlier, I get the fact that at any breakup level, there's going to be hurt, right? And so I'm not saying we can guard the heart in the sense of protecting it from all pain or all hurt or all grief or, sadness. But what I am saying is that I can walk away from that relationship going, yeah, but I felt really honored, respected, loved, treated right. We didn't move into a deeper level of intimacy than we should have. That's what I'm saying.
So when you do, okay. So what if people first time they met, they got, they did it
right,
but then they get married later. Okay. Do you see those people in counseling and stuff?
Yeah, I have.
And how does that go?
Both in premarital and in marriage counseling.
Okay. Is that bad later?
It's not. I think it depends. Okay. Okay. Because it depends on the situations they're coming from. Okay. So for example, let's say for both of them that they're not Christians. Right. They're probably not going to think about it maybe as much. Like, in other words, we had sex. It was part of the relationship. We continued on, got married. And so they're not going to think about probably that part as much. Like the sense of, oh, well, maybe we shouldn't have had sex. They might not think about that. What I have encountered, and I'm not saying this is true across the board. What I have encountered in marriage counseling in particular, not like premarital, but more like marriage counseling, is we had sex before in our relationship and now we're married. And let's say they dated and engaged, and let's say the process took a year, 2 years, 3 years, whatever it was. Now they're married, and now they're looking at it going, the wedding night really doesn't mean as much. Sex life is not fulfilling as it once was. Okay. And I think the reason is because sex is framed probably in a different perspective in the dating, engaged, heightened, kind of hormones and excitement and love and, kind of, I say love, like I'm putting that in quotes, like that romantic, feel good love, like, where it's just like, you kind of like living on a high, if you were, So you think these people think sex isn't as good anymore? Correct. And then they get married. With this person. Correct. And then they get married, and I'm not saying it like flips a switch. All I'm saying is like, now they're like in the steadiness of life and all that kind of stuff. Yeah. And sex before was framed in this kind of excited, full of, energy, emotion in this dating part. And now it's like, well, we're here, we're together, and it seems like sex becomes less fulfilling. And again, I'm not saying that's the case for everybody. Yeah. I'm just saying this has been something that has been shared with me when doing marriage counseling.
Okay.
And so and often they don't understand that. Like all they know is sex was good here, sex not as good here.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And by good, we really mean like fulfilling, satisfying, or even the desire to.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think those are kind of the things that kind of happen there. And that can happen. And so that can happen for Christian, non-Christian. For the Christian, though, in particular, I think the wedding, I think there could be guilt and shame if they have sex beforehand, like especially if they're both really wanting to follow the Lord, and especially if one of them was a virgin before that, and they were hoping to be a virgin, all the way up to their marriage
till they died.
But to their wedding night, they were hoping to be a virgin until then, and if that didn't happen, they may feel like something was kind of stolen or taken from them, and even if they realized they were part of that process, nothing was like. Right. Like they said yes to it. Like they were, again, part of it.
It's the dude's fault.
Well, it can get there, right? Like it was, why didn't, but I think most, whether it's the male or female, they understand they both were complicit in it, right? But sometimes you can feel like the guilt of it or the disappointment in, man, I wish we could have made it to our wedding night. But if that was the case, often whether it's in marriage counseling or premarital counseling, we can help people frame that in the sense of, yeah, okay, that did happen, like that was there, but it doesn't have to mean that that something damage. There wasn't like damage that was beyond repair, quote unquote, right? Like you don't have to live in that guilt and shame, and so we're able to help couples reframe that in a much more sense of, okay, I'm forgiven. I'm renewed. I'm with this person. God has made we've entered into a covenant that's a new covenant with each other.
Yeah, I guess I don't get that.
And so,
like, if you're still married to the person, then who cares?
Right. And I think a lot of it is just moving the guilt and shame, so that when they come into the marriage relationship, they don't feel guilt and shame when they have sex. Because what can happen is a pattern can develop of guilt and shame, guilt and shame, guilt and shame, and now psychologically, sex becomes associated with guilt and shame. Oh. And so now it's kind of helping them remove that part.
Okay.
And so we have to go through that too. But all I'm saying is, in all these situations, you end up having to do some kind of counseling and therapy. And whether it becomes a big thing or not a big thing, to help people move past those things. Well, if you never had sex before, right, marriage, then you're not even having to deal with that.
Okay. Right.
And so now I'm not even having to worry about these things. It's just, I'm just getting married, and there's usually an excitement of having sex on that wedding night. And, and now sex is always
for 5 seconds.
Right. Because that's about how long it lasts. Yeah. So,
wow. I've been waiting my whole life for this.
Yeah. Well, we tell couples all the time.
Can I say that was boring?
We tell couples all the time, like don't like it. Like you never know. Like it could be these like awesome experiences, moments, whatever. But we're like, sex is better later on. Like like it just is. Yeah. And so anyway, and so I think that's
you have to get bored of them a little bit for it to be more fun. It's got to be not as exciting to see them naked anymore.
Yeah.
Your mind's got to wander a little bit.
Well, yeah, it'll last a little longer. Then you just get older, and that comes into play too.
Yeah, never mind.
I don't have energy. Yeah. So, but no, but I do think that's going back to like and we're like if we're thinking about like my own kids, right? Like we want them to be able to have, healthy relationships, and where the wedding night really does like mean something. And if one of them was to have sex before marriage, it's not like we're condemning them or we're writing them off. Or
I want to have sex before marriage, and not a damn thing you do is going to stop me.
Yeah. Well, that's their choice, right? And so
bye.
Right. That's their choice. And so, but again, my wife and I feel like we've reaped benefits from both being virgins going into marriage. And again, we are not saying that you have to be that way to have a fulfilled marriage with a fulfilled sex life. Okay. We're not saying that's the only way to go into it. We just know it from our perspective that was actually like a gift for both of us. And so, we would love that, not just for our kids, but for others as well.